Hi, and welcome back to Just Between Bus. If you're new here, my wife Rachel and I are converting this school bus into our home on wheels. This week we're going to be working on the transition from the original roof line to the new roof line where we raised it 14 inches, and how exactly I went about doing that. That was probably one of the harder things I did as far as a planning standpoint went. Everything else so far has been kind of easy, cut the roof off and just jack it up. This is, forming metal into compound curves, which is a little bit more technically challenging. But at a certain point, you've just got to give up trying to plan it and try it, see what happens. And I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So here, what I'm doing is throwing up some cardboard so that I can make a pattern. That way I'm not having to cut the metal and waste a piece if I get it wrong. As it's a compound curve, everything's got to be just so. or at least pretty darn close. The cardboard is not real cooperative, but it's a whole lot more cooperative than trying to stick a sheet of 50 thousandths thick galvannealed steel up there. So this is the last piece of the transition that's going to go up top. I've got the other two sides done. See if I can get a better angle from the front here. You can see the other side. And that's all finished up, all riveted in. And what I've been doing is kind of getting a cardboard template like I've got under all my junk here, mocking it up in cardboard because it kind of moves the same way sheet metal does. It doesn't fold like a sheet of paper would, but it's also a lot easier to work with than a piece of sheet metal up there would be. So lay that out, mark it off, have it all taped up top so that we can get a template, and then bring that down, cut it out, and then cut it out in sheet metal. And then we lay the sheet metal up there and use some ratchet straps to bend it over to get it to the proper shape. And then I usually start on the bottom and rivet up. You work from one fixed point to your non-fixed point. That way you don't have any big ridges or extra material that kind of comes up in the middle. That's never a good thing. And now we're gonna toss that up there and see if we can't rivet it in, and that will close up the transition. I'll still have to put some supports in there to strengthen it, but I'm debating putting a skylight in that section, depending on how curved that section comes out and how easy it would be to put something in there. And then we'll go from there. So the transition up here is done. A couple more rivets here and there that I've got to do, but for the most part, that's it.
Started with the sides and wrapped a small section up around that because that's the tightest compound curve on the whole thing. Did both sides, started with that one. That's why there's a whole bunch of chunks out of the bottom section of those little flaps and not over here. And then I went ahead and laid out the center section and put it up here, and then decided upon putting a pair of reinforcing pieces underneath where it says flap there and there. Definitely because it wanted more reinforcement and not because I cut the center section about 8 inches too short. And once we did that, I have sealed the inside. I'm going back and forth about sealing the outside as well. I probably will, but I kind of want to leave a couple little holes for water to drain out of. So I'm not entirely certain what I'm going to do with that. Just because water is, I'd say, the most invasive thing on the planet. And it will get in there eventually, and I don't want it puddled up. So I want it to run out somewhere. Maybe I'll leave a corner here open or something, and the same on the other side where a couple of the panels meet. That way it can get out. But then you've also got to think about, you're going to be moving at 50, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour, and possibly into a headwind. And if it's raining, that'll blow water up in there and blah, 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 blah. I think the next step is to start knocking out the stuff in the roof. That way I can cover up those holes. And then once we do that, we've got to do the reskinning on the back for the 2 windows. The door's probably going to stay for now, and I'm going to be removing that or modifying it so it's about half height sometime in the future. But I want to leave that full sized for now. That way we can, if we need to go get lumber or, God forbid, more steel, we've got somewhere to transport it that's big enough. And we've also got to do these front, I've heard some people call them eyebrows, but the light covers, cut those out. I'm not keeping them. I think I'm just going to do them like I did the back. And a couple little miscellaneous holes here and there in the top here. And I think there's a few on the sides and from the stop sign. So we're not done with sheet metal by any means, but the hardest part is finished. Alrighty, so that should just about wrap it up for this week. Next week we'll probably be moving on to the interior framing so we can do the insulation. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.